Hey there, and welcome back to yet another video. Transposing jazz standards into other keys is one of the most important skills you can develop as a musician. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a clear, step-by-step process to practice transposing effectively. We'll start with just the root and melody. This is not only great for ear training, for hearing how intervals relate to the root movement, but it's also the foundation for learning any tune and developing your ears. From there, we'll add the shells, the thirds and sevenths, starting with just the left hand and then splitting them between both hands for a fuller sound. Dividing the shells between your hands is your foundation for solo piano playing and is best for learning tunes in other keys. Next, I'll show you the best ways to approach transposing, especially if you're more beginner, by starting in whole steps. Then we'll move to half steps for more of a challenge, and finally I'll guide you through practicing in random keys while focusing on hearing and recognizing those key intervals you worked on earlier. By the end of this video, you'll have a practical and useful system for mastering transposing, improving your ears, and building a deeper understanding of jazz harmony. I'm going to take the great standard Lullaby of Birdland by George Shearing as our example. This tune will teach you so many fundamental things like major and minor 2-5-1 progressions and the 1-6-2-5 turnaround progression. All right, let's dive in. All right, so Lullaby of Birdland. We're going to do this in the original key, the one you find in lead sheets, which is in F minor. So we're going to start with just the left hand, as the left hand will kind of determine the chord progression, and you want to hear the bass movement and the root movement a lot. And this is very fundamental. It'll help you when you transpose, and you want to start thinking about these things in terms of intervals and compositionally, and this will help you when you transpose. Key of F minor, it's in F melodic minor. So it starts in F minor. It starts with a 1-6-2-5 in the key of F minor. And then it's going to do a 2-5-1 to the relative major, which is A flat major. And then it does a 1-6-2-5-1 in A flat, then down a half step, 2-5-1 back to F minor. So that's going to sound like this. So that's the A section. We're just going to look at the A section of the tune. It's an AABA tune. It's 32 bars. So that's 75% of the tune right there. So it's really important to know, like, what's your 1-6, what's your 2-5-1 in the key you're in. And especially if it goes to, say, the relative major, which a lot of compositions will do, or vice versa, if it starts in major, go to minor, is what's the 2-5-1 in that key? What's the 1-6-2-5 in that key? Okay, so the right hand, you want to take note of anything, like any sort of things you notice, like is it coming down a scale? What are the intervals? How are the notes moving? What are these compositional things or any intervals you notice? So I'll just play it and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so that's the A section. So notice it's coming down the first 5 notes of an F minor scale. All of that is in F melodic minor. And then it's going to go up a fifth, right? There's a lot of fifths in this melody and how this tune and the melody moves. So we have this fifth, then that major 7, and they each come down a whole step. Then it's going to move up a fourth, and it's going to come down the first 5 notes of A flat major. So we have this descending line, this chromatic passing tone to the 5th of A flat. So we have this whole step on top, and this chromatic line coming down, and then this part we have these fifths happening, right? It's coming down a whole step and then a half step here. So these are the things you kind of want to notice. And from there, you want to practice just the left hand playing the bass line and the right hand melody like so. Just like that. Do that a lot. And that's not as easy as it looks or sound. You want to have solid time. You want to keep the rhythm going, some nice swing in the right hand, some good accenting. So you want to get very comfortable with that. From there, it's kind of knowing what is the bass line doing in relation to the right hand melody in terms of intervals. How does that sound? So for example, where are we starting? We're starting on the fifth of our tonic, or the first chord. So if you transpose, let's say a random key, let's say B minor, right? It's knowing the fifth of that key. Any starting place. Let's do F sharp minor. Hearing what that sounds like. So I'll go through it a bit. We have that fourth going to a minor third. Another fifth, and it's going to the third of our 5 chord. Another fifth, another fifth. So when you transpose this, you have to think, okay, fifth to the root, third, major 7. And that's going to resolve to the fifth of the dominant chord, right? Coming down a whole step. This is how you want to start hearing and thinking about these things. And at the end, you have this flat 9. There you have this tritone interval, this augmented fourth. This is likely the spot that's going to trip you up the most if you transpose this tune, is remembering what the interval structure is. So you really want to work on that part and really getting that down. How does it sound against the bass? Okay, so the next thing is knowing your shell voicings just for the left hand, root 7s and root 3rds. You know, adding a little rhythm. If you need to start just on the downbeat, that's fine. And from there, to add in the other shell with your right hand thumb, or the lower part of your hand, you want to know that. So I'd recommend first, again, playing 3-note voicings, either root 3-7, here's F minor, or root 7-3. So this works well because it's closer to the melody. So you have to know the shells. And then it's a matter of adding the melody on top of that. So or fingering wise, you could do that too. So that's how you want to learn tunes. This will help your solo piano. Now, when you transpose this, I recommend first, if you haven't really done this before, you're trying to learn another key, just go up a whole step or down a whole step. That's going to be fairly close to the key you started in, or the original key. So let's go up a whole step to G minor. And first thing you want to do is start learning what's the 1-6-2-5 in G minor. Then we're going to do a 2-5-1 to the relative major. Right, then your 1-6-2-5 in major. Right, and your 2-5-1 back to G minor. So again, it's knowing the melodic minor of the key. And knowing what the relative major is. And from there, you might practice hands separate, getting used to that. On this part, I think of this as like a C minor 9. Going to the 5th of the dominant. Okay, so then you can add in the shells. You can start left hand. And then you can put them together. And just slowly working on that. And so that's up a whole step. From there, if you want to challenge, you can usually just go up a half step or down a half step for a totally different key than the original. So if we did, let's say, up a half step to F sharp minor, this is not a common key in jazz, but it's really fun to play tunes, and a good exercise and thing to work on is playing in different keys. So from there, knowing your F sharp melodic minor and what's the relative major, A major. So from there, same thing, be very slow and meticulous about same thing, just taking your time with that and really kind of figuring it out. And the more you work on this, it'll start to flow. It's tedious at first if you've never really done this. Then just kind of going through the shells, like I said. And then you can come up here, since it's closer to the melody. But knowing your shells like that through any tune and then just adding in the melody on top, this will help you learn tunes in other keys. And if you slowly work on it, you can do any key. It's just a matter of knowing and hearing how the intervals and the melody sounds with the root movement and what that sounds like. So really focus on this for how it sounds in your ears. Really listen to what those intervals sound like together. And as soon as you really know the chord progression and know that in a different key, transposing becomes a lot easier. And this is a really good tune to do that. It works on so many fundamental things, working on just the 1-6-2-5, major, minor 2-5-1s. That's, I mean, you're going to see that all the time. And this is a great tune to do for transposing. It's a little tricky with the melody, but if you learn this tune, this will help you learn to play in other keys. Just this tune alone. This is a really important tune and it teaches you a lot. So in summary, here's what I want you to do as a call to action. 1. Start with left hand bass and right hand melody. 2. Notice any notes or scale patterns from the key. 3. Listen to how the melody sounds with the root and note any intervals. 4. Practice your shell voicings in the left hand using 2 notes, then 3 notes divide between the hands. 5. When transposing, start with just root and melody, then follow step 4 in the new key. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel and check out the free guides in the description below. There's a guide on where to start if you're new to jazz piano or coming from a classical background. There's a practice structuring guide if you're lost or overwhelmed with what to practice, and my modes cheat sheet, which covers all the modes of major and melodic minor. I go over how to apply them to each chord type and for certain tunes. There's also a link to join the waitlist for my new upcoming course on how to solo meaningful melodies. Join the list and you'll get immediate access to a sneak peek video of what's covered inside the course. And please leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts and answer any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.